Imagery appearing on social media channels seems to suggest that Russia has deployed either the S-300 or S-400 air defense systems near Ras Lanuf on the Libyan coast. The oil port is controlled by the Libyan National Army (LNA), commanded by Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar. If this development is confirmed, it will mark a significant escalation in Libya's civil war, since this will indicate that a foreign power is now actively involved. Viewers may note that the reports of the appearance of the air defense system come after a flight by a Russian Aerospace Forces AN-124 strategic airlift aircraft into Libya's Al-Qadim airbase on August 3rd. The AN-124 is generally used to transport bulky equipment and could be used to transfer S-300 and S-400 systems and their supporting components. Russia has also been using Ilyushin II-76 transporters. It's interesting to note that when Turkey received its S-400s, they were delivered through AN-124s and II-76s. Japanese Defense Minister Taro Kono said, "Anyone who's trying to change the status quo by force needs to be forced to pay a high cost." Mr. Kono said China's building of fortified installations across the South China Sea is destabilizing. He added, "A free and open maritime order in the South China Sea is as important as any other place, and what happens there will concern the international community." China claims almost 90% of the South China Sea through its so-called 9-line map. It says that it has indisputable sovereignty over the sea. The wide-reaching demarcation was rejected by an arbitral tribunal at The Hague in July 2016. China has tried imposing a unilateral decision, as per which all ships and aircraft navigating in the area need to identify themselves to the Chinese military. It has militarized several islands in the area and has even deployed advanced missile systems like YJ-12 anti-ship missile, as well as HQ-9 surface-to-air missile. This video is sponsored by War Thunder, the most comprehensive military vehicle online game for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, in which you can go to battle on more than 1,200 playable aircraft, tanks, helicopters, and ships from the 1930s to the 1990s. The game has an amazing attention to detail and focuses on a realistic combat experience, which is why knowing your vehicles and skill really makes a difference. It's easy to get into, and all you need to play is nothing more but your mouse and keyboard or controller. Immerse yourself in cross-platform combat with more than 20 million other military vehicle enthusiasts from all over the world. Download and play War Thunder for free using the link in the description below, and also get a free bonus tank, aircraft, or ship, and 3 days of premium account. Royal Air Force P8A Poseidon maritime patrol plane has conducted its first operational sortie. The aircraft flew together with Typhoon fighter jets and shadowed the Russian Navy's missile-armed Project 22-160 patrol ship, Vasily Bykov, as it sailed in the North Sea to the northwest of the United Kingdom. The mission occurred on August 3, 2020, but was only publicly announced on August 7th. Annabel Goldie, the UK Minister of State for Defence, said in a statement, "In an increasingly unstable world of persistent challenge and competition, it's important that the UK Armed Forces possess cutting-edge technology to meet threats wherever they emerge. The sight of our new Poseidon aircraft, working in concert with the Royal Navy, has showcased the UK's readiness to defend its waters from any incursion." The RAF continues to evolve and develop as the next generation RAF becomes a reality. The Poseidon aircraft is a key part of that development and evidence of the hard work performed by all those involved. RAF Air Vice Marshal Ian DeGuide, head of No. 11 Group, said, "The mission by the Poseidon to monitor Russian naval activity shows how the RAF will now be able to contribute to maritime security alongside the Royal Navy and our NATO allies to secure the seas and skies." The RAF presently has 2 P8As, also known by the British designation Poseidon MRA-1, and another 7 on order. The first of China's big-deck amphibious assault ships has begun sea trials. Photos and video of the lead vessel in the People's Liberation Army Navy's Type 075 class emerged earlier when the still unnamed warship departed the pier at Hudong Zhonghao shipyard in Shanghai. Viewers may note that the ship caught fire in port in April, which resulted in damage. Quoting unnamed military analysts, the Global Times added that it expected the first Type 075 to be commissioned into PLAN service within a year or two. Type 075 reportedly has a displacement between 35,000 and 40,000 tons. Hence, Type 075 is significantly larger than both the Australian Canberra class, 27,500 tons, as well as the South Korea Dokdo class, 18,800 tons, and similar in size to the U.S. Navy's Wasp class amphibious assault ships. The Pentagon has officially signed a cooperation agreement with Poland, which will pave the addition of another 1,000 personnel to the total number of U.S. troops in that country. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper announced that negotiations regarding the new Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement (EDCA) with Poland were completed on August 3, 2020. It's to be noted that Poland is a NATO member. This comes less than a week after U.S. President Donald Trump's administration announced it would be withdrawing thousands of troops from Germany and transferring a portion of them to locations elsewhere in Europe. Esper said, "The ECDA will enable an increased, enduring U.S. rotational presence of about 1,000 personnel, to include the forward elements of the U.S. Army's V Corps headquarters and a division headquarters, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities, and the infrastructure to support an armored brigade combat team and combat aviation brigade. This is in addition to the 4,000 U.S. personnel already on rotation in Poland." Viewers may note that President Trump and his Polish counterpart, Andrzej Duda, had signed joint declarations calling for increased defense cooperation last year. Reports indicate that Indian Army Chief Manoj Mukund Naravan has asked top military commanders in the central and eastern sectors to be prepared for any eventuality and maintain the highest operational preparedness. Naravan stated this after visits to Eastern and Command Headquarters on Thursday. The Indian Army said in a statement, "The Chief of Army Staff interacted with all the Corps commanders of Eastern Command and reviewed the prevailing security situation and operational preparedness in the Eastern Theater." The Indian Air Force has also put its bases near the borders with China on high alert and deployed additional fighter jets and attack helicopters. The development comes against the backdrop of tensions and mobilization of troops by India and China along their line of actual control, LAC. Tensions in the region spiked after a clash on the 15th of June. The conflict took place in eastern Ladakh's Galwan Valley. Russia has indicated that any incoming missile will be treated as a nuclear attack. In the Krasnaya Zvezda article, senior officers of the Russian military's general staff, Major General Andrei Sterlin and Colonel Alexander Kiapin, stated that there will be no way to determine if an incoming ballistic missile is fitted with a nuclear or conventional warhead, and hence the Russian military will see it as a nuclear attack. The article noted, "Any attacking missile will be perceived as carrying a nuclear warhead. The information about the missile launch will be automatically relayed to the Russian military political leadership, which will determine the scope of retaliatory action by nuclear forces depending on the evolving situation." This position indicates Russia is concerned about deep strike conventional weapon being developed by the U.S. that could enable the American military to take out key military assets and government facilities without having to use atomic weapons.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting. And
Kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.